Welcome to the Gaming's Greatest Generation podcast, where we discuss news, reviews, and all things video games with your hosts, the OG Leo Holly, the overachiever Mark Lombardi, and Mr. Contradiction himself, Matt Harms. Stay tuned for ways to connect with the G3 community, contribute to the show, or tell us about your greatest gaming experiences. Now, let's get to the show.
Bold. Welcome back, gamers. The whole crew ain't here, but we got topics to discuss and another rhyme for your ear. But before we get rolling, we've got unfortunate news. G3 is officially done. No more talk. No more views. We made it to 33. It's not even middle age. But before you ask questions, let me try to set the stage. There's one raising a family, and that's no easy task. Another's fostering pets and doesn't know how long it'll last. The last has ambitious goals with no realistic end in sight. Thus, we're here to tell you all, this will be our last night. So from here on out, you can seek game talk elsewhere. You can have your console war, and you can go play unfair. We're throwing in the towel, but with this, our last show, we wanted to give you something special and let you all know. No matter where you are, no matter where you play. April Fools, you jive suckers! G3's here to stay! Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the G3 Podcast, episode 33 on April 1st, 2022. It's your boy, known as Ice, on all things gaming and social media. Sorry for your ears. I wanted to make sure that you were tuned in just right, and then blow it out, just like we're going to do with the episode tonight. I am also joined by the man, the myth, the legend, a.k.a. Sir Smokes a Lot, Mr. MowThemDown. What's going on, baby?
Yeah, what's up, everybody? It's certainly a regret that Mark couldn't join us tonight, but otherwise, yeah, we're not going anywhere, so might as well let those hopes go. I know that Leo got you all primed up there, but no, you're gonna have to deal with us for the long run.
Oh no! I tried to pull the tears. Anyways,
that's good, man. You got me choked up a little bit.
Acting 101. Anyways, we're gonna roll right in with it, folks. As usual, you got news from
pair of tweezers. Oh wait, no.
Whoa, we do not have that lawnmower 4.0 sponsorship yet, so we're not gonna go ahead and be going down that road. The road that we do have to go down, unfortunately, is talking about some of these game delays. So the news coming out of GameSpot, I don't know. I don't want to talk bad about news. I don't know if this is like kind of a weird puff piece or filler piece for GameSpot, but they went ahead and they talked about every game delayed right now. And it was highlighting, obviously, COVID-19, supply chain shortages, work, remote work situations, everything that could be affecting game development proper. And they listed a couple titles in here. I'm not going to go through each and every one of them because A, the list I'm sure is not all inclusive, and then B, there's probably only a handful that we individually care about. Matt, was there anything, any of these titles in particular that you were like, man, yeah, that's a bummer?
I mean, nothing new recently, at least. You know what I mean? We've already discussed a bunch of games getting delayed as it's kind of happened. So nothing really caught my eye aside from the discrepancy in the article where they were referring to Lego, Skywalker Saga or whatever, saying that it was delayed with no, current release date, and it comes out Tuesday. So I don't know. Wasn't sure exactly if that was, it said it was published on the 29th, but maybe that was updated with something. I don't know, man. But yeah, delays are a bummer. I would always prefer that they take their time and get it right rather than, the alternative. So
yeah, there's only a handful on here that I was a little upset by. One of them, and luckily this is on the shorter end when we're talking about delays, Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp. I mean, it's old school GBA games. I feel like I borrowed that from somebody because I never had a Game Boy Advance myself. But just the look of it looked kind of cool. It looked like some other, almost like what's that? What's that dang turn based that we would play together, and then it would like zoom in and have the battles similar to what we're talking. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah. What the hell was that called? Wargroove or something?
Yeah, Wargroove. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
Yeah. So just the little like head-to-head animation style of things. I kind of like that. The other one, R.I.P. for Mark with Icarus getting delayed until November, at least as far as if this article is to be believed. Stray, PlayStation was really hoping for Stray to come out. PlayStation fans, were really hoping that Stray was going to be coming out late last year, and it's delayed into 2022. And I don't believe, as far as I'm tracking, that they have officially announced when. As I take a look, Stray, yeah, unannounced.
I think it's
release
just
date still.
still hopefully
So,
somewhere.
but yeah, there's a couple titles, but the latest one added to the list, which is probably the biggest bummer, is none other than the infamously awaited Breath of the Wild sequel. So, for those that weren't aware of this, Eiji Aonuma, yeah, sure, we'll say that's how it is. So he is let me make sure I get his title right. He's the producer. Yeah, the series producer, Legend of Zelda series producer. Went ahead and put out a small video on Twitter, and he had the statement, quote, "We previously announced that we were aiming for a 2022 release for this game. However, we have decided to extend our development time a bit and change the release to spring 2023. For those of you who have been looking forward to a release this year, we apologize." End quote. And in that, they also packed it in with a little bit of Breath of the Wild 2, sizzle reel that we've kind of seen before. Nothing new, but he went a little more in depth at what I interpreted as they're making the world so big and so immersive. And that was one of the claims to fame for Breath of the Wild is, you see it, you can go there, kind of deal. Unlike certain other new gen games where it's like, you have to go to this handhold and whatever to climb this mountain. So the notion of them taking more time to me is a good thing, because that just means they're gonna get all the stuff right, and have basically a 10 out of 10 or 100 score, whatever you want to call it, game going on. So on top of that, just because we're looking here in our CNET source article, and they also made mention Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was delayed to spring 23. That came out a couple weeks ago. I don't think we got to really talk about that one either, but focusing predominantly, talking about whichever one you want, but focusing predominantly on the Breath of the Wild thing. Matt, was this one that was on your radar at all? Were you looking forward to it?
I mean, I don't have the Switch, so I can't play it. That said, Breath of the Wild is one of the few games that would be a system seller for me. So, I definitely have interest in the sequel.
Since you're talking about system seller, do you think maybe it's coincidence that that they're waiting until 2023, and we're talking about the Switch came out in 2017? So
I actually was kind of priming the discussion there to lead into what if, they're like, oh yeah, we've got, more powerful processor up in here, and now you got, I don't know if they're going to do 4K, but maybe 1440, I think it's currently still running at 720, so they could maybe get, something bump up the, resolution, the quality of the, effects and whatever, blah, blah, yada, yada. I don't know.
I'm not.
I could see that. It may also just be that, frankly, they want to do a little QC and make sure that they release a quality product. Nintendo is at least still pretty good about that, along with Sony as far as like their major first party stuff or whatever, trying to make sure it's not just a shoddy broken mess. So could be anything. Would be funny if they were like, oh, you know what? Let's wait so we can sell this as a bundle with the the newer updated SKU. So
I mean, to me, it would make complete sense, especially because Breath of the Wild was, if I recall, a Switch release title. And, quite frankly, we mentioned it before that, or at least off air, we mentioned that maybe the supply chain stuff is starting to alleviate a little bit. We're seeing that in like GPU prices coming down here and there. Maybe some folks are getting back back into the workplace, commercially as well as in game development. I would play the what if game to say that Nintendo already has this partnership with Nvidia, right? So I wouldn't put it past them that they went ahead and for the next Switch platform, hopefully they would keep it, compatible with the current Switch platform. But for the next Switch platform, they don't even really need to do that many hardware upgrades. They simply have an onboard DLSS that goes ahead pretty much like you're saying, upreses everything and can potentially get better performance out of, a moderately performing hardware set. So to me, I don't even think Nintendo needs to even go full on. Like you mentioned 4K, like I'm not even going to shoot for 4K. If you can just give me like 2K on this thing, right? Just give me some DLSS to upres something from a 720 to a 2K. Like I'm good. Switch 2 sold right there. Like, is that something that you would think would potentially be feasible, especially again when we're talking about this existing partnership with these guys?
yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. That certainly would be a much more easily achieved goal. I mean, ultimately it's always going to be a thing where they're going to want to, offer a reasonable price point for their consumer and also something at which they have a margin of profit. Excuse me. So I don't know exactly what they may be trying to offer or what, segment of the market they're trying to offer that to appeal to. I mean, if they're trying to appeal to the holdouts like me who are like, well, I mean, blah, blah, whatever. So they're like, oh, well, this will, yeah, maybe not in handheld mode be capable of whatever, but, you put it into the new dock as well. And then you can get, whatever for your screen at home or whatever. I can't say
Yeah, I like the dock idea. It just seems like one of those like external graphics card solutions that you see for PC. And while that's not a terrible thing, usually it's for like your smaller form factor PCs. While that's not a terrible thing, like I I just feel like there's no reason to have it be a standalone, most likely proprietary dock for your Switch unless you were making it compatible with the existing hardware. Like that's the only thing I could
Well,
think. 'Cause
yeah, and I mean, I don't
otherwise,
see why that wouldn't be. Yeah, I would think you could put your old Switch into it. I don't know if it would necessarily be something where you could guarantee that it would be capable of, like, and admittedly, I don't know how that all functions. Maybe I'm sure you could get some benefit out of it. Maybe not get up to 4K from 720 or whatever. Maybe with some upres or some upres, whatever DLSS kind of thing, like you're talking about. Lots of possibilities now with that going on. So, depending on how closely they're working with NVIDIA and how ingrained into like the AI software, functionality of all that stuff, I could be really interesting to see. I mean, if they want to do a $400 unit or whatever, or maybe 500 or whatever. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, I say all this and then I'm like, I don't know. Now I'm maybe pricing myself out, but it also depends on, I guess, the kind of content they're offering and everything else. It's hard because everything is multi-plat, and so whatever. But if they can get a bunch of exclusives going, offer some kind of unique experience or whatever, other than just the handheld portable thing, because that's where they lose it for me. Like that's, I guess, where the dock for me becomes important, because the portability thing is not hugely important for me, because if I'm on the go, I'm probably not gaming. You know what I mean? Like gaming is kind of my home time thing or whatever. So.
yeah, I mean, to each their own. For me, same. I don't really. I don't ride the bus or anything like that, or train commuting to and from work. So the opportunity to really make full use of that Switch, portable feature is, I don't want to say lost on me, but it's not all there. That being said, nine
The
times out of
impact to
10.
your gaming experience is not as monumental, I guess, right? Like,
Yeah. My Switch 9 times out of 10 is in the docked station, and the only times that I really there've been onesie twosie like appointments during COVID times where like the wife was going into something that I wasn't allowed to come in, but I was trying to be helpful and chauffeur and whatnot. Like, cool, I'm gonna sit in the car and play on the Switch. But outside of those super random things, maybe laying in bed at night and playing a little something, something, which you're not supposed to do anyways, because it's bad for your sleep. So, yeah, I don't know. The bottom line, I would love to see. Okay, this is me, right? Hot take. They're going to go ahead and they're going to delay, or they have delayed, Zelda, the sequel to Breath of the Wild 2. All of this to talk about that topic. So they went ahead, and I'm thinking they're going to push it because they want to go ahead and release this upgraded Switch. They already had. And when you think about it, I didn't even think about this until right now. When you look at the timing of, hey, here was the original Switch, then they came out with the Switch Lite. Now they came out with the Switch OLED. To me, it only makes sense to have a Switch Pro, if you will, that has those onboard AI things coming out at roughly the same time interval. You bake it, all the previous Switch propers down like $50. Go ahead and mark them down $50, and then that way it incentivizes you to get this new one, even though like the console price lowering thing is not usually Nintendo's gambit. But I think that would be gangbusters right there. And I'm not gonna lie, I would go ahead and pay for a new $300 Switch if it had this onboard whatever and was tested to get 2K visual qualities out of it. And presumably, if you have the opportunity to offload some of the processing power for in favor of the AI doing the workload, then if you have even a modest upgrade in processing power, you can handle other stuff like audio quality or other onboard features. Like, how long did it take them to put Bluetooth audio on board this? Like, it was fully capable. They just took a while to do it. So I think that would be the best move for Nintendo. Honestly, don't really change course. The Switch is selling like hotcakes. Just come out with a new model that, like we said, does a little bit more work with the DLSS deal, so that it can have a little more upres and focus processing power on auxiliary functions.
Or they're waiting to hit the end of the year to announce that they're the Japanese company that Microsoft's had their eye on. Microsoft's gonna buy them up, dog, and get Breath of the Wild 2 coming to Game Pass, dude, spring 2020.
Oh boy, here we go. All right, well, what's not coming to Game Pass, or most likely isn't coming to Game Pass, is the new Witcher game. So we're gonna move right along past the nonsense that just got dropped here. So yeah, this is a little bit old news, honestly. Old in the sense of like maybe a week and change, but we didn't get to cover it. So we're going to take the time to cover it, especially because somebody, I don't know which way the video is going to go, the other guy besides me was super excited about this news. So CD Projekt Red, the developers of The Witcher, went ahead and made an announcement that there was, or is rather, a new Witcher game, not necessarily called Witcher 4, but a new Witcher game that is currently in development. And unlike the predecessors, which were using the Red engine, which is CD Projekt Red's proprietary engine, this one is going to be using Unreal Engine 5, Epic's monster. So I'll just drop the quote here from, oh man, I love when I have the quotes, but then the names are separate. It's such a pain. The news coming out of GameSpot. Paweł Zawadny, who is the company's chief tech officer, said, quote, "It is vital for CD Projekt Red to have the technical direction of our next game decided from the earliest possible phase. As in the past, we spent a lot of resources and energy to evolve and adapt Red Engine with every subsequent game release." He follows that with, "This cooperation is so exciting because it will elevate development predictability and efficiency while simultaneously granting us access to cutting-edge game development tools," end quote. So, Matt, this one really caught me because, first off, this is their in-house engine that they're moving away from. And then they're partnering with Unreal Engine 5, which we've already seen amazing things from, especially the real human, facial technology stuff. And I think this is almost pointing at the sore spot, the elephant in the room, which was that they went ahead and they basically tried to redevelop Red Engine along the way with developing CD Projekt Red, which we saw had some unfortunately devastating effects, whether it be optimization or whatnot. I think maybe optimization is too broad to go ahead and bring in as specifically citing it associated with this problem. But it's a pretty big friggin' deal that they're going ahead and moving over to Unreal Engine 5. So, you were all about this one. I'll let you take it away and, kind of spill your thoughts on it.
Yeah, so I mean, you hate to see it, but I can certainly understand from the logistical aspect, moving away from your engine to, start utilizing UE5. As you said, we've seen some pretty impressive things come out of that thus far. So, yeah, if that helps them to kind of mainstream so that they are focused on, designing and producing this video game rather than, building the engine to then produce a video game. I mean, that's what Bethesda's struggled with constantly, cycle after cycle. So I don't blame them. I mean, I guess it's, just the matter of time until it's all just the Unreal Engine, but it's capable. So I don't really blame anybody. You know what I mean? So yeah, I can't really hate on them. Hopefully that will help to ensure that whatever this next Witcher project is going to be will have a much better release and reception at release than their last major title.
Better release, better reception, better visuals, and all around just a better product. That said, this is not, or at least they haven't alluded that this is taking away from the new gen upgrades that they've talked about are coming to Witcher 3 for PS5 and the series consoles. So, hopefully we get a little taste maybe of what a higher res, a higher res Witcher could look like. And so,
I mean, it's not like a remaster kind of a thing. They're basically just, like kind of, or like a remake, whatever. It's a remaster. So it'll run, actually rendering at 4K and, probably running at 60 frames or whatever if you're, like on the PS5 or on the Series X. So it'll look crisper and cleaner and it'll, run smoother, which will be helpful, but it's not going to be some huge, shift or whatever, to where it's like, oh, wow, this is new graphics or whatever. This is blowing my nips off. It's that'll be the next one. I will say I don't know what they're going to do with the next one. They kind of had their thing with the trilogy, and now if they're going to try and do their own thing within the universe, we'll see how that goes, I guess. I don't know. But I will certainly keep an eye on it. I've always been a fan of theirs. So,
yeah, I will definitely keep an eye on it as well. I'm terrified. I still haven't jumped into the Witcher games. I know, hate me for it. But it's because I've heard enough folks go ahead and say, "Oh, I've dedicated."
Still needs to finish a different trilogy.
We're not going to talk about that one. So. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those games that people talk about hundreds, if not thousands of hours in. Like, that's terrifying for me because I already have a hard enough time keeping up with, as you alluded to, or even finishing certain games. So we'll go ahead and we'll save that for maybe another razzle-dazzle discussion when we talk about backlogs, though. But potentially taking away from your backlog, or at least providing some motivation to finishing it, we got a new Game Pass Ultimate perk, and that particularly is EA Play, which is partnered with Game Pass Ultimate and allows you to play a lot of EA Play games because that are catalog games that are in Game Pass Ultimate as part of your subscription, are now going ahead and unlocking achievements. So before you get super excited, the news coming out of Game Rant basically stipulates that instead of going ahead and unlocking achievements in the form of Xbox achievements that work towards your gamer score, it's actually going to go ahead and unlock the achievements that are associated with the games on EA Play on their service. So if you have EA Play account, or I guess you could potentially use your Game Pass Ultimate account on other platforms wherever EA Play may be found. But those achievements on EA Play are going to follow you in your account on whatever you play it on. So I think this is kind of a win, but at the same token, for me, I want to limit the amount of places that I have to focus on the meta and building up my achievements and score, if you will, on different clients and whatnot. So I would personally have much rather they just, thrown in the chips and said, yes, this will go towards your Xbox score. But I can kind of understand because they can't guarantee that, let's say, if you play on a cloud thing or whatever, even though presumably if you're playing through the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate service, then it would recognize and register that you're playing via that Xbox client. But yeah, I just would have liked it to be in line with one of the things that I'm already trying to build on. Matt, is this something that you're going to feel rewarded in? Is this going to make you dive into the EA Play titles anymore?
Nope. No, I mean,
it's almost like Marcos.
Sorry,
here.
yeah, right, yeah. The achievement thing has never really been my deal, so I can't say I care really much one way or the other.
All right, cool. Moving right along then, something you may care about, and hopefully everybody does, is Journey. If you remember that was the super silent kind of go explore around the world, and in certain parts of the game have cooperative online experiences. It was also a PS3 exclusive. Actually, I want to say it came out on PC at some point thereafter. Won a Peabody Award. So why is this important? So for those that aren't familiar with the Peabodys are a prestigious award that's given essentially to best-in-class products or IPs that can be found, whether it be in cinema, music, or more often it's in books and storytelling. At least in my experience, that's where I've seen it most. But so the fact that a Peabody Award was given to Journey is a pretty important deal. And so there's something I wanted to read here off of the article, which we pulled from the Los Angeles Times. It says, the Peabody recognition is arriving at a time when games are more overtly becoming entertainment IP. This week sees the release of a Halo series on Paramount Plus. Sonic the Hedgehog is now a film franchise. Uncharted has become a box office success. And Netflix's League of Legends series, Arcane, was a top winner at the animation industry's Annie Awards. It's a signal that interactive content is entertaining the mainstream arena in a more overt way than it has in the past. I'm gonna call bull. If if you're one of these like entertainment moguls, then maybe, you've had your head under a friggin' rock with the mainstream type media. Then maybe you're just now finally noticing that games are an entertainment medium that everyone likes to partake in. But I think for the folks that most likely listen in or watch this show and that partake in gaming as their main hobby would probably attest that gaming's been around for a hot minute and been good. For that matter, I'm looking at you, original BioShock, that probably should have won something. Anywho, with that said, Matt, what are we thinking? The Peabody, are we impressed by this award? Do you give a crap?
Honestly, yeah, no, I would say that was exactly my response or my reaction. I'm impressed that they have gone ahead. I guess that the excuse me, that the Peabodys have moved into trying to, recognize contenders within that medium. That's really cool. I also think that it's cool that Journey, I guess, got the award or whatever. I haven't played that myself, so I haven't experienced it and don't really know exactly what the fuss was all about. But I know that it got everybody ranting and raving for quite a while, so I probably deserve it. I couldn't actually attest to that directly myself firsthand, but glad that they got some recognition, I guess, and hopefully they'll continue to bring up other winners, recipients, whatever. But yeah, very cool.
Yeah, Journey is one of those that unfortunately kind of slipped through my fingers as well. Go figure, I own it. I just haven't played it. But yeah, the big thing was this notion of being unable, and this is something I think you would dig, being unable to communicate with other players in the world, yet you have to focus on working together to solve certain puzzles and, scale certain heights, if you will, to kind of use it metaphorically speaking, in order to achieve more progress or progress yourself as a player. So you kind of had to work together, and there wasn't any like, hey, let me chat with you. It was all in game and through emoting, if you will. So it took a little bit of being human and, trying to have, I guess, a sense of empathy and understand where the other person was coming from and what they were trying to convey in order to go ahead and help move along. At least that's my understanding of it. But good job for Journey, and we're going to move along ourselves as well. So congratulations on the Peabody. The last piece of news proper, at least, that we have is the announcement of yet another subscription service. In case you guys didn't quite have enough racking up on your monthly bill, GTA Plus has been announced by Rockstar, and so it is a subscription service coming specifically to, you guessed it, Grand Theft Auto, particularly for GTA Online. And dude, I don't even know how to friggin' talk about this one. So it's going to be $6 a month, $5.99 if you want to get specific. It started on March 29th. It's available on both the Microsoft and the PlayStation Store to subscribe, but it's only available to folks with new gen consoles. So, I think the new gen thing is kind of dumb because you're already talking a smaller pool than the folks at large. B, it brings about a question of like, who is this targeting? Like, are you trying to onboard more, new people? And are these new people like who is this audience? That's the part that I'm really stuck on, because this is, what do we say, at least a decade old, 13-year-old game, something like that. And they have kept iterating on it, kept having it come out. And so now for the online experience, at least, this is going to earn folks every month, as I understand it, $500,000 in the bank. You're going to get a specific car. You're going to get some auto shop enhancements. There's a LS car, car meet membership. So there's a bunch of.
It's not even the membership. They're just waiving the fee for like a month or something.
Reimbursing $50,000, during this. But so it's all these in-game perks. So for me, I mean, to each their own. I don't know. This definitely isn't for me. I'm going to say that flat out. But what do we think? Is this almost too predatory now? Because we're getting the impression that Rockstar is not even really enhancing their games anymore. Now they're just trying to literally squeeze every last, drop of blood out of it.
I mean, that's exactly what it is. The closer and closer they're going to get to release of the next GTA, the more they're going to try and squeeze every last bit they can out of that revenue stream. But yeah, it's can't say as much for me either. I would say that the main target audience are going to be, new players who may not have picked it up yet or whatever. And then, just the whales that have been dropping money into that for years. But yeah, the main point of concern for me, which is one of the greater selling points of it, especially, I guess, for newer players or whatever, if you haven't come in, or maybe if you are just that whale who wants to experience everything again, but you can unlock the content that has been locked away from prior events or whatever. So that would be cool, I guess, if you want to go, back and experience that, especially if you haven't already. But that's a kind of a frightening precedent for me. As we've seen with Destiny rotating out their content as the game gets a little too large and everything. I mean, is that going to start to become a thing, after a few years after you've rotated through, some DLCs and stuff, oh yeah, the new subscription service or whatever, new add-on, fee to go back and play through that old content you feel nostalgic about that you haven't been able to play for a little bit. It's oh God.
Yeah, it definitely is a slippery slope and sets a new precedent and potentially a new precipice that we'll see just how far of a drop off that is in as far as user base, as well as where we see other other game devs going. But that was Rockstar's own announcement, and I felt some kind of way about it, to say the least. Yeah. So
Red Dead Online hasn't taken off the way they wanted.
yeah, most definitely. There's a whole lot of shenanigans going on with that. So
Are you an industry insider? A professional interested in working with us? Maybe you just have an incredible gaming story to tell, but calling isn't your thing. Email us at gamingsgreatestgeneration@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
So in other news, this one kind of news. It was unfortunate. I guess it came out via a tweet. We're sourcing it from IGN. But E3 2022. So for those that were, basically keeping track, E3 was it wasn't non-existent last year. It was just like somewhat digital, and it was a little bit awkward because people were more in tune with what was going on at Microsoft's presentation and at the Nintendo presentation. And then Sony did their thing like way after in September. But E3, which was initially saying no physical, they were going to do a digital event this year, has since doubled back or recanted that. So they put out a statement, quote, "We will devote all our energy and resources to delivering a revitalized physical and digital E3 experience next summer. Whether enjoyed from the show floor or your favorite devices, the 2023 showcase will bring the community, media, and industry back together in an all-new format and interactive experience," end quote. No, you won't. Like, I don't know how to politely say it. Like, the only people that I hear clamoring for E3 to come back is, quite frankly, media personalities and content creators, the folks that actually physically went there. And more often than not, it was to see each other rather than see what was going on at E3. Sure, it was great to go ahead and I hear from all these different folks talking about how great it was to maybe get hands-on and potentially play some of these games a little early, give their first-hand impressions for their audiences. But they're the only ones that I hear asking for it. I was perfectly comfortable last year checking out everything on YouTube. It seems a little more lackluster now that we're doing our own content creation, if you will, to go ahead and be like, well, I saw on YouTube just like everybody else did, but here's my take, rather than actually being on the show floor, talking with developers, and getting some of that real juicy bits of information. Like, those are the only folks that I heard clamoring for this thing. So the fact that E3 is like, oh yeah, by the way, that I don't want to say half-assed, but that attempt that we were going to try and come back this year, and E3 was already on the demise on a lot of people's minds. The fact that they're now like, yeah, this year isn't going to work out after all, since it's now April and it's supposed to come out in June. It makes me feel like they clearly didn't have stuff lined up, which speaks to the bigger culprit of not enough people or not enough companies, developers, whatever, are even willing to participate with them in this digital format. So what kind of hopes, Matt, do we even have that there's going to be any type of E3 proper in 2023?
Honestly, that's a really good question. It's really hard to say, man. I mean, I think people are going to be clamoring to get back out to events and stuff once there's, I guess, some sort of reasonable semblance of being beyond the point that, so yeah, I think people were probably ready to get back to the events. The main question is whether or not the, publishers and developers and everything are, the Microsofts and Sonys and stuff are going to have the interest. I'm assuming that it costs them a decent amount of money to go ahead and put on these events, especially, renting whatever location space and whatever. I don't really know all what goes into it, but I imagine the digital thing is probably cheaper and, directly to the fans as well as media and everything. I don't know. I imagine it's probably pretty appealing, especially because then, that the people that are tuning in directly to watch your thing. It's not like a, day full of, the general event. Maybe people are getting tired and tuning out, spacing out, whatever, who knows. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can certainly see the advantage and benefit, whatever, for the individual players to have their own individualized events. We'll see. we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, like, so for me, the big thing comes down to they. The problem is, and this is, Ice's insight, if you will. The problem is they need to flip everything on its head. The way E3 is currently organized is ineffective because the same folks that have been going ahead and clamoring that they want to come back to E3 to see each other are the ones that I hear talking about how long the lines are just to get to their appointments for interviews or to go ahead and test out, game demos early because E3 went ahead a couple of years ago and they started inviting fans to it. Now, mind you, I've been checking out E3 since like way back, like I want to say late 90s, early 2000s kind of deal, right? And I've always wanted to go myself. That
Back when you
being
had
said,
the old EGM subscription. And...
yeah, exactly, right? Nintendo Power, EGM, official Xbox magazine, like, when Gaming Press was Gaming Press. But they didn't have it open to fans at that point, and now they have opened it to fans, but it's several hundreds of dollars. You're going there, everybody catches, basically the E3 flu because you have people coming in from all over. So all that mix of biology is not a good thing. Fast forward to what we've been experiencing in the past like 2 years, that's also not a good combo. But
flu is everywhere, everybody.
Yeah, but the only saving grace that I've heard about E3 that it really presents in a positive sense is maybe opportunities for indie developers to really get their names out there. That being said, once again, we're talking LA Convention Center. The prices are outrageous. For some of these booths, the ESA wants to go ahead and charge like into the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars for, a couple day long event. And then on top of it, like, yeah, you mentioned it, like going digital, an indie developer could go ahead and take maybe 2-3 I don't know how long it would take to produce a little slice, but do that, put it in, a YouTube format or something, and you can probably double, triple, if not quadruple the amount of eyeballs that can get, a sight picture of your game. So I don't really see E3 coming back. Like, I hate being the negative Nelly here. I feel like I'm taking you passed me the baton, right? And I'm just like, nah, F that noise. E3, like, I wanted to go for the longest time, but there's no reason for E3 proper to come back.
I mean, I'm sad to say that I can't necessarily argue with that. I mean, it's always been kind of BS anyway, right? Like, it's all smoke and mirrors with that anyway, because you bring out your demo or you bring out your trailer or whatever, and it's obviously very curated, and who knows whether or not it's really representative of the final product anyway. So it's like, it's just, trying to start the hype machine for everything. And that's more often than not been pretty disastrous for everybody anyway. So like, fuck it, man. I don't know.
I've said before, and I'll say it again, and I'll keep saying it on this show, since this is, our platform. But if at the minimum, if E3 is going to exist, it needs to move. It can't be at the LA Convention Center anymore. That city is way too packed. Where the convention center is located is just, there's no bueno. Like, you basically trains, planes, and, aquamarines. Like, you got to take some type of transport, like blocks and blocks away to get to any of the hotels. And, not trying to be, a little righteous here in my town, but like, Vegas is built for conventions, large scale conventions like this. They literally
I see the
said,
bias, or the non-biased recommendation.
hey, look, girl, you've been here too, okay? Like, the city is built for tourism. You got all these hotels that are very centrally located around a lot of the convention locations. And something that'll be interesting, maybe next year we will or won't cover it. They just announced that they're actually going to be hosting CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, and the Adult Entertainment Expo at the same time in the same location. So that's about to be a very interesting convention.
So
right?
Prepare to see some very interesting tech.
Yeah. I'm just saying, these are both huge conventions that bring in lots.
It's going to be
the
cross-branded event, and
yeah, it's going to be some.
Elon's got his robot humanoid developed.
There's going to be
using it for some weird purposes. Yeah.
There's going to be some type of branding, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, my point was we got plenty of space, and I'm sure that the city would be more than happy to make a valuable offer to the ESA to come on in, especially if the ESA would be willing to pull their heads out of whatever proverbial internet ass they got it in right now with trying to charge some of the prices that they do for these indie developers and everything, pass on the savings to them. And who isn't going to want to come to a convention in Vegas? Like, come on, bro. Anyways, all right. Moving right along to the final discussion point or whatnot here. This was the hottest thing that went around the internet the past couple of days, and I'm sure you all know what we're about to talk about. The all-new PlayStation Plus. So PlayStation, in, as you could have guessed it, a blog post, went ahead and announced their new stratification of their service, basically the combination yet stratification of their existing services of PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now, and they are putting it into a 3-tiered system, similar to what content creators, and particularly I think Jeff Grubb was one who alluded to that most precisely, at least as far as some of the price points we're going to be talking about here. And yeah, like, as I was right, whatever garbage you saw on Reddit, just throw that out, right? Because we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about it here. But basically, it's going to be a 3-tiered system. It's going to be labeled PlayStation Plus Essential, because it's an essential membership you should have, PlayStation Plus Extra, and PlayStation Plus Premium, the prices of which are going to be, at least as far as US numbers, I'm not even going to do the 99. You guys know what we mean. It's going to be $10 a month, $15 a month, and the highest tier being $18 a month. Now, fortunately,
I wouldn't pay a cent over $17.99.
Fortunately, you do get some better deals, particularly when that breaks down into the annual. The essential, again, $10 a month, comes out to $25 quarterly or $60 yearly. So essentially what you're paying right now for PlayStation Plus. PlayStation Plus Extra, the $15 a month, goes into $40 quarterly and $100 annually. And then Premium, the highest tier, once again, is $18 a month, $50 a quarter, and $120 a year. So realistically, when you look at it, it's kind of funny because I was trying to I recalled, and I didn't unfortunately prep, but I want to say that your normal PlayStation Plus subscription as it stands is $60 a year, and then PlayStation Now is also $60 a year. So realistically, if you're paying in the annual, you're getting the best deal for any of these tiers. But specifically, if you go for the premium, it's roughly the same price as if you were paying for both services. Now, what gets my ire here is what they've broken down between the tiers. So for PlayStation Plus Essential, you're going to get all the same stuff that you get in PlayStation Plus. All right, cool. Higher cost per month, but if I pay yearly, it's the same price. Got it. PlayStation Plus Extra is going to go ahead and give you everything from Essential, but it's also going to add a catalog of 400 PS4 and a couple PS5 games. And I was like, oh, okay. So you're kind of splitting up the PS Now stuff and having some of it go into this middle tier. And then for the PlayStation Plus Premium is going to be all the benefits of the previous two. It's also going to have 340 additional games, specifically from PS3, which are going to be available via cloud streaming. And then you're also going to be available to do PlayStation, PlayStation 2, and PSP games that, again, presumably will be downloadable, but are also as well as cloud streaming. And it says customers can stream games using PS4 and PS5 consoles and PC. And they're also, of course, the joke of the entire thing, going to have time-limited trials available in that premium tier. So for all of the generations, because this is gaming's greatest generation, I just did the math here, and so folks can't say that we are not pro-consumer, pro-gamer, or whatnot. If you're interested in any of these services, right, please subscribe. to the yearly. I'm not going to go ahead and break it down for Europe and the UK and Japan prices, but
if you have the ability to do it all at once, if you've got the spare change, just save up or something, whatever. But yeah, you always win in the long run.
It's well worth it, right? So on the PlayStation Plus, again, this is just the US prices. For PlayStation Plus Essential, because it's essential, you actually save $60 by going on the yearly subscription versus the monthly. On PlayStation Plus Extra, that goes up to $80 that you save by going yearly versus monthly. And then this one, I had to do some quick math here. $96 you save on the PlayStation Plus Premium by going yearly versus monthly. So I know that's a pretty big pill to swallow, to pay $120 up front. Maybe you can go on, I don't know, CD Keys or something. I don't know who's going to have deals on these memberships going forward.
Yeah, to start, probably nobody, but eventually.
I think, but yeah, to end my rant. So there's some good associated with this, right? PlayStation has said that when you subscribe, where are the games? Why are you guys hiding those? Here we go. At launch, we plan to include titles such as Death Stranding, God of War, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, Mortal Kombat 11, and Returnal. So this is at launch in June. So that's the good news, at least, that they're going to have a couple of those games. If you've been looking forward to them and you have been on the fence about whether or not to get a PlayStation Plus subscription, June may be your time, and you'll get to play a couple of new hot games associated with that. So that is it. I didn't want to, friggin' leave off on a hot note. So luckily, we got Release Radar to go ahead and cool us off. So what can we go ahead and cool off with this lovely spring weather that we hopefully have coming around to wherever you are in the world? So starting off on April 5th, we can expect to have Lego Star Wars, The Skywalker Saga on PlayStation 5, 4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, Switch, and PC.
GameSpot.
GameSpot, because they said it was delayed. MLB The Show 22 is going to be PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series, Xbox One, and Switch on April 5th. Chinatown Detective Agency, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on April 7th. Man, we're already reaching out there for the 7th. Chrono Cross, the Radical Dreamers Edition, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on April 4th. Godfall Ultimate Edition, PlayStation 5, 4, the Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, and PC on April 7th. Wow, there's a lot coming out on April 7th. Sherlock Holmes, The Devil's Daughter, coming out on Switch April 7th. Slipstream is coming out on PlayStation 5, 4, Xbox Series, and Xbox One consoles, and Switch on April 7th. And the last one rounding out April 7th, the House of the Dead remake on Switch. So, Matt, well, you know what? I'm not even going to ask you. Matt is very well looking forward to Lego Star Wars, ladies and gentlemen, Skywalker Saga. Bro, Matt, is there any others that you're excited about?
I mean, House of the Dead remake, Switch seller for me. No, I'm just kidding. Otherwise, yeah, no, I mean, definitely the Lego game. Maybe Chrono Cross for real.
That on that Xbox One,
probably be about that list. Yeah. Otherwise, Godfall, I don't know about. I don't know. We'll have to ask Mark. We'll have to follow up and see if he ended up picking up Death Stranding.
Death Stranding? Was he supposed to get Death Stranding? I
don't know. He expressed interest about the director's cut coming to PC.
The director's cut. Yeah, that's true. Well, we'll have to catch him on the next one. But speaking of the next one, that brings us to the end of episode 33. Matt, why don't you go ahead and take it away? Tell us what you've been playing. Where can the people still not find you?
That's right.
What's hot and popping over in the MO?
Well, you're always welcome to hit me up at the the G3 email, or you can hit me up, MowThemDown, hotmail.com. I'm on my Xbox every now and again. I've been playing Elden Ring. Finally decided to start trying to get into that. And it's been kicking my ass, but it's fun. It's enjoyable. I've been enjoying it. It's it is like a very well crafted experience. You know what I mean? It's yeah, I've been enjoying it so far. Had one little hiccup where I died fighting a couple of dog things that, I'm gonna be honest with you, like we were kind of standing in a little like triangle and I just died and I didn't really understand what happened. I was confused. Girlfriend was on the couch and saw that and was like, "What happened?" And I'm like, "I have no idea." So that was annoying.
In the back.
But yeah, right. But otherwise, it's usually you are punished for your own foolish mistakes. So yeah, it's fun. It's enjoyable. But need to get back into some multiplayer gaming with you, Janice. Otherwise, we got the new dog. He's a good boy. It's been adjustment, learnings, whatever with him and us since he is a blind ass dog, but he a good boy.
All right, cool. So as for myself, known as Ice on all things gaming and social media, you know where to find me. This was another busy week. I'm starting on the personal front. I'm really starting to crack down on studying for my personal trainer certification. So that is starting to take up quite a bit of my time. I realized instead of having, of course, I didn't bring it with me, this thick ass book to study. They do offer the courses online as part of my purchase by signing up for the course and everything. So they almost gameize it. I don't know what's the word to say there, but the game, there's a little bit of gamesmanship there. It shows like progression levels and all this stuff, and it's stuff that speaks to my gamer eyes. So it's a little more inviting and appealing and whatnot. So I got to crank on that pretty hard though, because short of asking for an extension, I'm going to be due to take that exam middle of May. So we'll see how that goes. Otherwise, gaming wise, I have not been doing that much, honestly. It's been pretty upsetting for me. I feel like that's why I have to keep drinking here on the show, because I'm in a drought, guys. I did go ahead and get to play a little bit more of Tunic. The game is aggravating me to no extent in the best way possible. I think it's deserved of all the praise that it's getting. Literally, I don't even understand. I was in the studio here, and I think I was working on something in particular. Oh, it was last week's episode. And while the widgets and things were going in the background, I said, you know what, let me try some cloud streaming. And I did a little bit of Tunic, and I came across a chest that was in a particular spot that I had walked by probably at least 2 to 3 dozen times already. And I did not see it. I don't know why it popped up while I was doing it on cloud streaming of all things. But yeah, the game is well deserving. I'm really looking forward to rolling credits whenever that happens. Whenever I can pass this.
I started it up, but that was like right before I decided I was going to start Elden Ring. Partially, I guess I was like, oh yeah, this reminds me I should need to be doing this instead. But honestly, I guess I should probably try Tunic while it's still on Game Pass. But yeah,
I keep razzing on you guys like, oh, what else is in Elden Ring you haven't told me? But I think that's like me, beefing myself up and almost using it as a buffer, because I know the more and more I hear about it, the more I feel very strongly like if I jump in Elden Ring, it's game set match. I probably won't get out of that.
Pretty addictive, homie. Yeah, it's one of those, the classic Civ meme of one more round, one more turn, or whatever. It's you just keep pushing on. It's like, okay, one more monster, one more whatever, and then you die and you're like, ah, and you're like, okay, well I gotta go back and get my runes or whatever, and then I'll do that and then I'll be done. But then you're like, well,
it seems like just the perfect mix of terror for me. Like, again, having gotten into a couple of the roguelikes or roguelike games recently, combined with, you got this fantasy sci-fi world combined with it apparently has really great gameplay and is apparently a model for what single player games should be now, because you're not getting harassed with microtransactions. There's not just one more thing you got to pay for or a grind fest. So yeah, I feel like when I do eventually get into Elden Ring, it's gonna be like, bye guys, it was great knowing you.
Yeah,
I mean that's different. Though.
And what's sad is Mark and I were trying to do like the multiplayer thing. We ran around for a little bit, and that was kind of entertaining, but it kind of devolved into just us waiting for people to invade his world as like a hostile, and then we'd kick their ass. But which was still cool. But yeah, it seems like co-op is mainly, I guess, meant to be a way to kind of unwind a little bit, I guess. Yeah, decompress, and then grief, I guess, for the hostility stuff. And then you can, I think, join for like boss fights, but it seems like it's separated to where like the journey to the boss fight, is like single player only, and then once you get into the arena with the boss, I don't even really know. But yeah, like he was trying to see if he could get me in to help him out with anything or whatever. And we couldn't really get into anywhere since I was like in the main open world with him. But kicking, people's butts was fun. So
okay, cool. Well, that's it for us, folks. This is a wrap for G3 Podcast episode 33. As we let it off at the top. Yeah, as we let it off at the top. April Fools, we ain't going nowhere. So feel free to go ahead and whatever listening platform you're listening to us on, feel free to give us a rating if it's available. If you're catching this on YouTube, hit that big old like button. Maybe consider subscribing. It helps us know that we're actually doing something worthwhile. Like, I'm having fun with it. I think the guys are having fun with it. But it'd be nice to know that you guys are having fun with it too. And
yes, let us know your thoughts and feedback, please.
Yeah, I mean, we're responding. We're doing some stuff. Feel free to join the Discord. It's just us right now, unfortunately. Maybe that'll pick up here in due time. But anywho, with that, remember, gaming's greatest generation is the one you guys are a part of.
Thanks for listening to the Gaming's Greatest Generation podcast. We hope you enjoyed your time with us today. If you have any feedback for the show or would like to contribute ideas, feel free to call 702-690-9292 or email us at gamingsgreatestgeneration@gmail.com. You can also join the Discord community by following the link in the show notes. See you next time.